Barcelona swat aside a pretty helpless Sevilla team. Real Madrid survive against Celta de Vigo. Mallorca are somehow in sixth place, and El Clasico looms in the distance. Welcome back to Lengua de la Liga, Deadball TV's newest series covering the Spanish top flight. We're doing a special episode next weekend all about El Clasico. So if you want to see that and all the other videos in this series, make sure you hit subscribe. And if you guys could also drop a like on the video, that would be much appreciated. Gentlemen, welcome back after the international break. Let's get into this. Let's get the boring stuff out the way before we get to El Clasico. Winners and losers. Let's start with the winners. Start with some positive vibes here. Jose, I'm coming to you first. Who's your biggest winner from this match week in La Liga?
Bro, who else? Who else, man? Come on. Say it with me, everybody. Everybody in the audience, say it with me. Say it with me. FC Barcelona, wow. Bro. For another 5 goals to the insane tally that we've already started for this season. Bro, listen to this. If we keep going at this rate, we are not only going to tie, but we will surpass that 2011-2012 Real Madrid Centurion team. And that's insane when you think about it. Just think about that. Think about who's on that team versus the team of kids that we have. It's fucking crazy, man. Like the amount of hate that Hansi Flick got from the entire fan base, probably a little bit of myself included. I wasn't super sure about him coming into Barcelona, but this team seems tailor-made for the tactics he wants to implement. And I feel like they're just getting better. And they're getting players back, bro. Gavi made his appearance tonight after, 349 days of football, something like that he hadn't played. The entire crowd going apeshit for, chanting his name. I got a little teary-eyed, lads. I can't lie. It all felt romantic in the best way possible, man. And you guys don't have a player like Gavi, so I understand. For those who who don't see the value that he brings, but bro, this man was built to play under Hansi Flick's system. Guys, this is easily the most dominant team in La Liga, and easily one of the most dominant teams in all of Europe.
You know what I love?
Biggest winner of the weekend.
Congratulations, by the way. You guys are playing really well. I love me a Clasico when you guys are riding high and feeling all confident, because there's nothing better to get motivated to show up and play.
That's an interesting shout, only because this wasn't the case last year. And I will say Real Madrid dominated Clásicos last season, right? Okay. So they dominated Clásicos last season. And I will say Real Madrid feels like Barcelona last season, where we would only win games. We would scrape by, win games on individual performances alone. It was never a cohesive team performance. And now you kind of have, it's flipped, right, in a big way. And I will say even last season, running off of Jude's insane performances for Madrid, that's not there. And now I feel like, I don't know, this Clasico feels different, man.
Hey, the Clasico previews at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think no matter what happens in that game, no matter what, the first place team will remain the first place team. And I can't wait to jump into that game. We'll talk about it. But no matter what Andre wants to say today, Barcelona is the most dominant team in La Liga, possibly in Europe, and next week's game will not change that.
Well, firstly, I'm still waiting to feel about Atleti the way that Jose feels about Barcelona this season. And second, I can feel the energy. I feel like I need to intervene. I'm literally the referee in this episode. I'm going to be the referee. We're moments away from doing a combined Real Madrid-Barca 11, and we do not have time for that today. We got to save that to the second half of the episode at the very least. Interesting. So Jose's going his favorite team is the biggest winner. Shocking there. Okay, Andre, is Real Madrid, are they your biggest winner?
No, I think, Celta
better not be. They better not be.
No, there's no way. No shot in hell. That'd be pure agenda.
Mbappe scored a fucking beauty, I will say.
That's fair.
But,
so maybe he could be your winner.
There you go. That's true. Potentially. Yeah, but no, my winner is Real Sociedad. I think we had them on a little bit of a fraud alert. They went to Girona. They won 1-0. They're now, 10th or 11th on the table. Goal differential back to 0. I think... Real Sociedad was 15th, 16th, 17th at some point a few weeks ago. So I want to see them in, competition for European spots. The other thing that I will say, I'm looking at the table right now, from 5th, which is Athletic, which we've talked about Bilbao, kind of, are they going to be the Girona of last year, right? Like finishing top 4, competing against the big clubs or the big 4.
They should.
Yeah. They remain 5th with 17 points. But if you look at the table, there's only 7 points between them and Espanyol, who are 15th. So those 10 spots are all
trash.
Oh, I agreed. But those 10 spots are all, within 7 points. So That's fair. So anyway, my biggest winner.
The debate between me and Jack over whether how trash Espanola is gonna be ongoing the entire season. I'll tell you that.
The funniest part about the debate is
your
I'm not
do
even
against
arguing that they're not trash. Like I'm admitting they're bad. I'm just saying they're not the worst. That's
too much credit.
That's what the argument has basically defaulted.
That's too much credit.
No, but no, Andre, I love that point. I almost went with Sociedad. Dude, I was looking at their defense. Pretty damn beast mode, dude. 8 goals allowed through 10, second in clean sheets in La Liga, only behind Atleti. I mean, as soon as the offense starts doing more, which, bro, Oscarson, I don't know if you guys watched Sociedad 1, Girona 0, but Oscarson should have had a brace in this game. I mean, they still have a goal scoring problem, but big win, I think, for Sociedad away to Girona. With the asterisk that Girona, not only did they lose every player, but they are decimated with injuries as well. I didn't even know. Bro, I wrote this down. 18-year-old South Korean prospect Kim Min-soo got 20 minutes at the end of the game. Like, I didn't even know who that guy was. He has 0 senior appearances. That's how down bad Girona are right now. So, I don't know. Their fans booed him at full time. I'm like, what do you want Michel to do?
What do you expect?
He's about to go have to play himself.
And you still have plenty of, again, those who don't pitch into La Liga, right? They'll do a Champions League game because, again, they performed that well last season. And you'll get all the haters come out of the woodwork like, oh, this team is not ready for this competition, fraud watch, et cetera, all the toxicity in the world. But it's like, guys, they were ravaged, pillaged, worse than some of our, I don't know, any ancestors prior to us, right? like it was insane, bro. Like, Girona lost so much firepower. Guys, we cannot hold them to any bar this season.
No, and on top of that, we've talked about this, but they're in Champions League. So they're playing 8 additional matches than they used to with a depleted roster. I did see that Korean guy play, and I was like, this is kind of when you create a player on FIFA, and that's like the first like dude that pops up. Like, where did he come from? But anyway, dude, I went with Sociedad just because of that.
They played another like 18-year-old kid with like a fro or something. I mean, I had no idea who anybody coming off the Girona bench was.
Somebody's controlling them via pro clubs. You know, they're just like create a player, 11 dudes just randomly in the matrix.
Dude, one thing I will say about Sociedad, though, I still don't know why they're running with this. So I did catch a good amount of the game, and some of the lineup decisions confused me. The tactics a little bit confused me. Like, I know Brais Mendes is kind of like a versatile player that can kind of do it all. But I don't believe he should be starting from the wide side of the pitch and coming in. I feel like they might even have a little more energy in the middle of the park if it's him, Zubimendi, and who's the other one? Sucic?
Dude, Sucic's been a beast this year.
Yeah, he has 100%.
Yeah.
But it's really just him and Zubimendi. Zubimendi kind of, he plays box to box, but he sits back a little bit as a deep line playmaker and lets Sucic do his thing. If Sucic had another player like him, like a Brais Mendes, to come in, occupy a little bit more of that middle space to free him up, I don't know, bro, throw Kubo out there. Why is Kubo, I don't know if he's coming off an injury or not. Maybe that's something I don't follow along, but like he came off the bench.
Right.
I'm just like, again, this is a good win for them away, but they're going to struggle offensively all season, I think. I mean, if you're counting on Oyarzabal to get you the goals, if that's the guy, who in my opinion is a good, good false 9 maybe, but isn't like a clinical striker, we're going to see a ton of these scraping by 1-0, maybe 2-0 in some scenario wins.
That's the thing. He's not clinical.
No, he's not. And they play a really like pragmatic 4-1-4-1 pretty much. Even defensively. And they're solid. They're solid defensively, but going forward, they don't offer anything. You're right though. Kubo, every time I see him play, I mean, obviously he came through, the Real Madrid and stuff, and I've watched him for a long time, but like that guy's a spark plug, like immediately. He can play the full 90. I don't know if he was hurt either, but Barrenechea just didn't really offer anything. There was nobody getting in behind. So I think, again, I had him as my biggest winner just because I did think that they were probably going to either lose or tie that game away at a hostile environment, which is Girona. But we'll see. I kind of have them on my watch list throughout the season to see how they perform. So
I love that. Yeah. Very quickly, I think Kubo probably didn't start because of how much he played for Japan in the international break. That was my theory.
That's a really good point.
I know he came on late, but yeah, he started against Australia. I think he got 70 minutes in that game, and I don't remember what he did against Saudi Arabia, but that was probably the reason. But I agree. I mean, he's a locked-in starter otherwise. For the sake of time, I'm kind of going the same vein that Andre did here. I'm going Real Betis, big winner, because they beat Osasuna 2-1 away. And this was actually a very good game. And minor nomination to Vitor Roque as well, because I think he got his second goal of the season.
He did.
Should have, dude. He almost had a disgusting back heel goal that got blocked off the line. It was a great match. Crazy stat here: Real Betis have won 4 of the last 6 games in La Liga away to Osasuna, which I felt like is kind of a crazy record. 1 draw, 1 loss in the last 6 away against Osasuna. So maybe this is just business as usual for them. I don't know.
Should have thrown a little wager on that money line.
another Barcelona player saves Betis, man. What else is new?
Yeah.
Dude, there's another. You want to talk about Barca players who balled out this weekend? I mean, Mingueza against Real Madrid, bro. Like, again. He got 6 assists this season?
I love Mingueza, bro.
Yeah.
I love Mingueza. I watched him religiously through COVID. Anybody who watched Barcelona back then, that was our right back, the down bad years, right? The 2 or 3 seasons where we were starting nothing but inexperienced kids. Good player. I don't get the PR when we have Koundé playing as well as he does. Like, there are some Barca fans that are screaming for him back. And I'm like, guys, relax, man. Like, I see a little bit what you're talking about, but he'd have to do it for a full year and then some, I think, to like really warrant some of that discussion of bringing him back.
Yeah.
But good player. Playing well.
You got to kind of choose your medicine, I feel like, if you're Barca, because you guys produce, I mean, Real Madrid too, like you guys produce so many players. It's kind of the Chelsea problem, but like slightly different. That's kind of more like Lone Army, but you can't play them all. Only 11 guys can play. Somebody's got to go. And as good as Mingueza has been, and in my opinion, he is in the team of the season right now. You still got to take Koundé over him in the long term, at least.
Yeah, he's not. Well, hold on. So you think he's right back team of the season?
I think he's right back team of the season right now. Yeah.
So where would you put Koundé? Because to me, he's easily top. Starting 11 for the season in La Liga. He's probably arguably one of the best defenders in Europe.
It depends how positionally strict you want to be with this 11. Like, do you want to put him as one of the CBs? Okay, I'm not mad about that as long as you put an Atleti CB next to him. Then I'm okay with that. Do you go with Inigo Martinez? I don't know. I thought he was pretty good.
I would go with Inigo at center back, and we could debate. We could debate the formation, things like that. Because I think Mingueza has a better right wing back than a tried and true right back. Like you said it yourself, right? The assists he already has, how he's able to contribute to Celta's attack. But it's like, Koundé is not that guy. I will happily admit that. But I feel like he's a shutdown defender that any team, probably in Europe, would be lucky to have. So I don't know. It's a really interesting debate. Like who offers more value? Let us know in the comments below.
For the sake of time, Andre is the neutral here. Why don't you jump in? You taking Koundé or Mingueza right back team of the season as of today?
So the one thing that I was trying to say is Koundé kind of reminds me of Ben White, where he's more of a center back that had just, by necessity turned into a right back. So because I used to play right back in my last year of college and I went forward a lot, Mingueza just seems like a better fit. Now, I do understand Jose's shout and point of like, yeah, Koundé's still a pretty solid right back, but I think if you go head to head, Mingueza's just slightly better. I get it. Koundé's a better defender, but that's because he was a center back. So I'll go Mingueza. I'll be the deciding factor here.
Somebody else is.
I would never expect a Madrid fan to pick a current Barca right back as their guy. So I'm cool with that.
Dude, Mingueza was a Barca player, brother.
He was key word right there is was. Like I said, I'll never see a Madrid fan pick a current Barca player in their 11, so I'm cool with that.
Not true, dude.
I knew Jose could never be objective about this. I should have never asked the question.
Thank you. Thanks.
He's
Jack.
gone. Biggest winner, and Barcelona, Koundé, best right back, Rafinha, MVP.
What do you want me to do when we're the most dominant team? How can I not pick them individually as any one of them?
Nobody's arguing against that.
No, that's true. That's completely true. Now, people who aren't dominating. Let's move on to the losers. Jose, take the first loser. We might have a consensus here, but I want to hear what you got.
Yeah, I think so, bro. I think for me, Jack, we talked so good about them, so positively about them already on this show. Villarreal, man. I mean, tripped up at home against Bordalas and the haram ball that they play at fucking Getafe, bro. Like, hey, look, Anabaradi's penalty kick at the end, the call, whatever, put that aside. It shouldn't have come down to that, in my opinion. Like, it shouldn't have, plain and simple. And I think when you think of La Ceramica and what it's supposed to mean for those fans, for this team, if this team's going to finish top 4 above Bilbao, The home games against teams like this, mid-table sides, are the ones you absolutely have to win, even if it's ugly. So, look, man, your boy Baena also up there for potentially L's of the weekend.
He was awful.
Guy barely completed over 50% of his passes, lost 8 of his 10 duels. I mean,
hey, I'm gonna throw it back at you, dude. Ilias was trash too. Your boy was just as
he
trash
had
as
he had to throw in the Barca player in the Aquamatch. Look, man, listen, the Moroccan lost his way a little bit too, but Baena's the guy who's being compared to Lamine Yamal. Oh, the only 2 players to have 10 plus assists in 2024, Baena, Lamine Yamal. Yet there is a massive disparity between the 2 players. I think at the end of the day, Baena statistically is a gem, and not statistically, he is on the field as well when you watch him play. But he just, again, the whole team, him included, have these moments where you can't start chalking up his name alongside others his age on some of the elite teams. Not yet. You just can't do it. I think you got to give him a little more time. Maybe he needs to go out and prove himself somewhere at a better side than Villarreal, but he's just not there yet.
Dude, I completely agree. And I think what upsets me the most, Villarreal were also my biggest loser. I think what upsets me the most is that Getafe didn't even play haram ball. Bro, they outshot Villarreal 21-10 in the Ceramica. Getafe. Have Getafe ever had 20 shots in a game?
They probably shocked themselves, if we're being honest. Like, they're like, holy shit, our team can attack. Wow, this is great to see. Actual proper football.
Correct. It's the most fun Getafe fans have had all season.
It's just what their brand of football is, man. Like, it's... oh my God, I can't stand this team. And Villarreal, like, I don't know, man. Again, it's early in the season, 30 weeks left to play. You maybe chalk this one up mentally for them and just call it an outlier. But all of this insane level of fast playing football that we've seen from them gone in this game.
Thoughts, Andre?
So, yeah, I think Villarreal is definitely a shout there. But I will go with Sevilla just because, I mean, obviously, Barcelona look incredible, but Sevilla are 14th, 13th on the table right now. Big opportunity to make a splash in the league. They didn't. They looked mediocre at best. I was looking,
and they're kind of in form. No, would you say they're in form?
Yeah,
They just won the Sevilla Derby.
Yeah,
and I think they're 2 out of the last 3.
Yeah, so they've been on a winning streak. I was looking at the lineup, and Iheanacho, Jesus Navas, Valentin Barco, all on the bench, didn't go on onto the field. The one guy that looked, again, mediocre at best is Luque Bacchio, which I was actually riding high on him. I wanted him to be kind of a standout player in La Liga this year. Did not offer anything.
Bro, I felt bad for him, to be honest. I felt bad. Like, anytime he got the ball way up top, where the hell was the rest of the attack?
Yeah, it was a big ask. It wasn't fair, honestly. Man had no help. Yeah. Bro. Especially after Ejuke pulled his hamstring. I mean, it was done. At that moment, it was done.
Dude, at that point, you knew. Yeah.
I felt bad for him too, to be honest. But when it happened, it was like a little pull. It was like, oh, he picked up a string. He's like walking off. No, dude, he absolutely pulled the shit out of it. Like,
it reminded me a lot of the Machín injury, Edson Alvarez.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like when you literally saw him like in tears, like this, I literally like tore my hamstring type of thing.
Yeah. I was thinking Josie Altidore. 2014 World Cup.
That's a good one, dude. That's a good shout too.
That actually is a good one.
Great shout.
That's a good one.
But anyway, I went with Sevilla just to change it up a little bit, and because I do think that I was expecting Barcelona to win, obviously at home, and the way that you guys are playing, but I didn't expect it to be a 5-1 like terrible display by Sevilla. So to me, they're the biggest loser this week for that reason.
Yeah.
It's not a bad show.
Yeah, Sevilla probably would have been my third loser. Probably would have been, I don't know, maybe Girona, just because you're dropping at home. I don't know.
It's just hard. We got to stop picking on these guys.
I said maybe 3. I didn't even get that far because I knew immediately. I was watching the Villarreal game and I was like, this is ridiculous. That Barry guy, Tierno Barry up top, dude. Like, I'm sorry. He's
so mid.
He's beyond mid. Have you ever seen a player like pull out of a bicycle kick? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's insane.
He's the Iñaki Peña of forward. He's the Iñaki Peña of forward.
What a shout.
1,000%.
What a shout.
Crazy.
Bro,
what a shout.
Like creates more problems for himself than like actual obstacles around him. It's crazy.
Correct.
Yep.
It was very frustrating watching Villarreal because there's opportunities that Barry murders on his own. Like, he cannot pass the ball. It's just shocking. But yeah, I think we all said our losers, right?
Yeah, we all said our losers.
Yep.
2 Villarreal, 1
Villarreal. Okay. 30 seconds. 30 seconds about Atleti 3, Leganes 1. I don't really know what to say. We scored again in extra time, so hurrah! You guys thought anything of this game as the rivals?
No, for me it was more business as usual. I think it was again an expected scoreline. Like I do like Antoine Griezmann. He's probably one of my favorite players on Atleti. And outside of that, I mean, everybody looked solid, but nothing like too crazy. Nothing to write home about. I think I have them on my watch list as well to see if they continue that form, especially with Europe and all that in the mix. But the other thing too that we didn't really talk about is how international break affects teams, right? And like Barcelona didn't skip a beat. Real Madrid looked pretty much the same. Atleti looked pretty much the same. So our three teams, I think, kind of remained steady throughout the last couple of weeks. After this weekend, we'll see how things shake up. But yeah, I mean, if you look at it, we're already 10 weeks in. That's the other thing that we haven't talked about. Like we're a fourth through the season already. And most of our teams are probably playing to be expected. So we'll see. Consistency.
I slightly disagree. And the only reason I say I slightly disagree is like I think 25% of the season you get like an inkling of how teams can play. For me, getting to Christmas is the first goal, and then you kind of figure out from there like how the window will affect things. You use that time to adjust, and then second half of the season you really need to catch form. I think Atleti, though, one thing I will agree with Andre is that Atleti is, in my opinion, when I put stats aside and you just the eye test, when you watch all three of the big three play, it's like Barca's dominant. Madrid is winning games, not comfortably, but they're winning games because you expect them to win games out of, almost sheer star power. And they'll continue to do that. And I think with Atleti, you have similar star power as the other two, but if you keep teams in games. It's really weird. Like, why does it take a first half goal by Leganes to use halftime to wake the fuck up and start playing, right?
That's what I've been waiting to see. Yeah.
And Griezmann, being who he is, bro, at some point they're actually going to try and convince him, I'm positive, to come back to the French national team because his ability to play make is just, it's evident. It's there for everybody to see. So I don't know. Like, let the star power will get them through games like this. When you go up against the Bilbaos, if a Betis is in form, even if Real Madrid or Barcelona are on a bad day, you still give them more than their fair chance because you can't come out swinging early, kill them off early if needed. And that to me is somewhat concerning, but you're still winning games, and winning cures everything.
Yeah. I would say positives from this game: Sorloth obviously scoring goals, Julian getting a brace.
Right.
It felt good to see the two big signings do something, in the same game. They've kind of been taking turns. Like, Sorloth's been booty, and then Julian steps up, and then Julian's been a ghost, and Sorloth, gets a game-winning assist or something like that. So that was good to see. I thought Simeone's subs were really good. I don't understand why Rodrigo de Paul doesn't start more often. That kind of frustrates me. Didn't have Llorente, because of the red card suspension. So there were some good positives. I mean, bro, when I saw the goal that Leganes scored, I was like, not again. I was like, it's an absolute banger. And I'm like, God damn it. We're gonna lose at home to Leganes.
And that's what happens, right? I think the players go through that too. I think that it's like right now, if some of these massive signings aren't clicking right away, a little bit of doubt creeps in. And then a team after team scores a banger goal here or a shit house goal there. Little more doubt creeps in, and the pressure kind of piles on a little bit. I think with this Atleti side, I think DePaul to me is a weird exclusion, especially when you're starting aging Koke in that position to be an engine and has to get pulled inside of 60 minutes. It just, I don't know. Simeone is maybe he's looking ahead at some of the matches that are coming up. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. It feels, like maybe the experimentation is because maybe he doesn't know what the best combination of 11 players is just yet.
Yeah, I think that's fair. For the sake of time, let's go ahead and move on to the El Clasico preview. So this is obviously a massive game. I don't really need to say that. First in La Liga versus second in La Liga at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid have won the last 4 meetings between these sides. So I know Jose's itching for revenge. You guys in the comments drop your predictions. And of course, we're going to be doing a complete El Clasico reaction and analysis next weekend. So hit subscribe for that. Andre, I'll start with you. How do you see this game playing out?
Fantastic question. I've been thinking about this for quite a bit now. I think after the international break, I wanted to see a good reaction against Celta, especially playing away with a bunch of our players playing midweek. I feel pretty confident about this game. I will say, though, I'm expecting a big performance from one of our star players, whether it's Vinny, whether it's Mbappe, whether it's Jude. We need a little bit more spice going forward for us to have a chance. Now, it's a Clasico. We all know that, right? Streaks don't matter. Form doesn't matter. It all goes out the window. If Barcelona go up 1-0 inside of 5, I want to see how Ancelotti responds, right? I don't want to see a team that's freaking out because, oh my God, the Messi ghosts are coming back or whatever it is. So I will say, though, I'm going with a prediction that's confident yet not overly optimistic. But I will say Real Madrid 2, Barcelona 1. I think there's going to be goals in the game. I think Barcelona haven't really played a team that has challenged them too much. And the one thing that I will say, though, is if we go with a 4-3-3 or even, with both Brazilians on the wings or even Mbappe, that's going to be a true test to your outside backs. I think that's going to set the tone for us going forward. And of course, like if we take advantage of chances early, it's going to be interesting to see how Barcelona react going down 1-0, maybe 2 down, right? If this game was in Barcelona, I'd probably feel a little bit different. I'd probably go with like a 1-1 or a 2-2. But the home field advantage should help. I think the Bernabeu is going to be rocking, and I'm feeling pretty good about this.
Jose, do you think you guys are the favorites going into this game?
No, and I think it's because, I mean, to be fair, bro, like I still don't think. I think most of the world thinks like the analysis Andre just gave right now, and I actually do agree with it. Right? It's like Barcelona still technically hasn't been challenged with the star power that Real Madrid has, and not even anything really super close to it. Villarreal gave us more than a few individual tests through moments in that game where either the keeper had to come up big, our backline had to track back in a way that we haven't yet. We've had like moments, right, where we've been tested, but not someone with the star power of Real Madrid. So I think the entire world will look at this as like the Bernabeu, El Clasico, form goes out the window. It does kind of become a little bit about star power in games like this. So yeah, I think Madrid probably is the favorite. For me, we have a massive chip on our shoulders, Barcelona. You did it before, right? At the Bernabeu, not even just at the Bernabeu, I would say last season, just keeping that memory fresh as hell in our heads. We both Clásicos, we thought we had moments where we even locked it up, call it a draw, call it even a win, and moments didn't go our way from individual players who were brilliant, right? Whether it's Jude, whether it's Valverde, whether it's Vinny. But something that I think works in our favor, believe it or not, it's kind of a hot take. I think not having Araujo in this first game bodes well for us. I think he's someone last year where not on fraud watch by any means, but his mentality and his lack of discipline gets exposed. I think you see in the Champions League against PSG. You saw it at times when he gets sucked into the mental game with Vinny. Whatever it may be, because he's the most athletic, he kind of gets put in these positions where sometimes the other aspects of the game get ahead of him, and it cost Barcelona multiple times last season. We won't have him this time. I feel like Inigo is playing at a top 10 center back in the world level at the moment. Gubarsi is playing well above his age at 17, 18 years old. Whether he'll be able to handle Mbappe, that's a completely different conversation. We'll see when the game comes. But I feel like Hansi will prepare for this game. My prediction's a little bit different. I think there'll be more goals. I do think there'll be more goals. This is how I see it going. Like, if I'm being realistic and not optimistic, I see 2-2. If I'm being optimistic, I see 3-2 Barca. And the reason I say this, I fully expect Madrid to get two types of goals in this game. One being probably individual moment of brilliance. Mbappe's goal today, or yesterday, was a perfect example of that. Valverde's strike from distance, or Jude's crazy goal at the first Clasico last season. All of that is kind of what I'm talking about. We'll probably see one of those because that's just how good they are. And the other one, probably a shithouse goal. Madrid's gotten a lot of PKs this season. There'll be something that I think kind of goes their way. It's at the Bernabeu. That's just how these types of fixtures tend to work. But I fully expect for Lewandowski to be a handful, probably the most informed striker in Europe. And I feel like the rest of the attack will just be a massive wild card for Madrid to deal with. Like, who? If you stop Lamine Yamal, how are you going to stop Rafinha? If you stop Rafinha, how are you going to stop Pedri? If you stop Pedri, how are you going to stop Leva? I think there's so many different ways in which Barcelona can beat you. And that's why I feel like it's going to be difficult for Madrid will have to pick their moments. Barca should control the game and hopefully win it.
One thing that I will add that we haven't talked about before we get to you, Jack, is let us not forget that it's Champions League, and we have Dortmund coming to Madrid, as well as Bayern going to Barcelona.
Yes,
so
sir.
Right
Big
before
week.
Clasico, mentally could influence a little bit of how players approach El Clasico moving forward. I don't know. That's something that we didn't really talk about, but I think it does matter, right? If we didn't have a midweek game, or if we were playing like Copa del Rey or something like that, mentally you're approaching it differently if you're the coach. But as a manager, do you put out your best 11 in Champions League and then expect them to play, 3 days later because the game is on Saturday? Especially for you guys, you have one less day of rest because you play on Wednesday. So those are the mental games that I know both managers are going to be trying to figure out. Very, very important to keep an eye on these games midweek.
Agreed.
I'll say, as the neutral here, I consider Barcelona to be the favorites. I think Real Madrid have the star power, but I think even Barcelona's star power is like absolutely ridiculous. I mean, even being an Atleti fan, I look at our own lineup and you look at like the worst players in our starting 11 versus the worst players in y'all's starting 11, and there's quite a big gap there. Also, I think Barcelona, they're just playing the best football. I think Madrid have been saved by individual brilliance in a couple different games this season. I don't really know if you can say the same. I mean, Jose, you can jump in. I don't know if you want to say Dani Olmo saved you in a game. You could say that. But I think overall, as a team, you guys have certainly been better. Now, two things I want to see, because we know this is going to matter a lot. Number one, the goalkeeping position. Peña versus Courtois, I mean, it ain't even a contest. So Courtois is going to keep this game close. If Peña can just not make mistakes, that'll be huge for Barcelona. And number two, high line of Barcelona versus Real Madrid's attack. I'm so fascinated to see what this looks like, because I think Villarreal, ironically in the games against both of you guys, I think gave a pretty good preview of how I think this game's going to play out. The difference is that Villarreal have Barry up top, and Barcelona have Lewandowski, and Real Madrid have Mbappe. So I expect a lot of goals in this game. I'm either thinking a 3-2 Barcelona as well, or a 2-1, something like that. That's how I see this going down.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting, man. It's going to be. I mean, look, it's going to be a game of moments. It always is with El Clasico, right? If you watch the two last season, it's really how it came down. I mean, two kind of interesting goals on the side of Madrid in both games to get it over the line. I think Jack, I think us being the favorites, to me, if we are, it just says a lot about how dominant Barcelona have been this season, right? You just look at that fact. That's awesome. I love hearing that. But as many times I've watched this fixture, like Andre said, it almost doesn't even matter, right? Like these players, these two teams will get up for it in a way that I don't think will even factor in something like form. But I'm hoping that also something that's an X factor, I think, for Barcelona potentially, right, is getting some of these guys back at a crucial time. Being able to call on players like Gavi off the bench, on Olmo off the bench, because I don't expect Olmo to start. He may get some minutes against Bayern, and maybe that'll propel him to starting in this game, but it's a massive game. I think that the players who have the most chemistry together on the field will probably get the start. But I think some of that, being able to change how the tempo of the game is being played in the 60th, 65th, 70th minute, if we're still in it, calling upon those players at that point in time, yeah, I back us to pull it out too. But again, we'll see how it happens.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was gonna call you out after Jack's argument, because you started this episode by saying that Barcelona are the best team in the world, so you should be favorites to win this game. But again,
they're playing the best in the world. They're playing the best in the world at the moment, in my opinion, right? Like people argue Manchester City in the Premier League and whatnot, right. and sure, they're a champion through and through, but I've said it up to this point, 10 weeks in, we got a lot of season left to play. Yeah. But like we talked about, right? If they keep going, yes, they're going to be one of the most dominant teams in Europe, if not in the world.
Dude, I just want for there to not be any injuries midweek. That would really suck to go into a Clasico if one of either team or a couple big names are not on the starting lineup or even out for the game on Saturday. Like that would really blow, because then you start looking at it, after the game, and you're like, well, yeah, Barcelona lost because of Lewandowski got hurt against Bayern or something like that. And it's like, come on, like now we're going to start making excuses. There's going to be asterisks, and it could happen, right? Very well to either team or both teams. But yeah. I just hope that it's starting 11 versus starting 11. Let's just play football.
I agree. I'm kind of at a point now, though, where last season, if we had lost a player, I felt like the world was ending. The league was crumbling. Barca wasn't going to win anything. It felt like everything had to go perfectly for us to have a chance. And now I feel like if something doesn't go our way, if we lose a player somewhere, I'm almost inclined to say Flick will figure it out. Like, it's almost like we have this identity, this style of play that allows players to slot in and out so that we don't lose a step. We don't drop off entirely in quality, regardless of who we're playing. So I agree with you. I really, just for the sake of the fans, I want to see a complete full strength 11 versus full strength 11. But if it doesn't go that way from a Barcelona's perspective, I won't. I think a lot of fans won't make the excuse, hopefully, because I feel like this manager has us playing in a way that is not just solely relying upon individual talent. So there will be some excuses, I'm sure, especially if Barca were to lose a player and then lose the game. But I feel like the manager's doing some insane work right now.
One thing you did mention was the Araujo shout, which I do agree with you. I think last year, Vinny realized, like, we can get into this dude's head. Like, his mentality was just, like, all over the place. And going back to your point, with a player like that going out, via injury, it did seem like a lot of culés were like, oh man, I don't know what we're going to do now. Like, he's the best center back in the world. Who's going to step in and play? And now you guys are, glazing over fucking Cubarsí. So it's like the rhetoric has shifted. I will say.
The Barca glaze never stops. I mean,
to be fair, I was just gonna say, to be fair, we've been glazing Cubarsí since he stepped onto the field last season.
But you know what I mean. That's not end of the world now. Like, if
correct. And but
I've heard Virgil van Dijk comparisons. Actually, it's getting ridiculous.
I mean, let's be honest, he's gonna be better than Virgil. But beyond that,
you sound like Hoffit right now. God damn.
Yeah. Well, hey. When Virgil is playing for, if Virgil had played first team games, in a competitive league like La Liga from the get go, maybe things would be different. But putting that argument aside, I have a question for you guys, because I think that's an interesting shout with Araujo, and I think Inigo is playing out of his fucking skin. That's why we don't miss him that much. But do you feel like when Araujo gets back, he's an automatic slot in, or will he really have to work at dethroning these center backs?
Way he's automatic. You guys have been too good. No way.
Yeah.
I mean, take your personal thoughts about the player aside. You cannot mess with this formula.
No,
can't.
Not at all.
Keep in mind, he's a captain.
Right. Don't matter. I mean, it makes sense, but I agree with Jack. You can't do that, especially a team in form, the best in the world. La Liga leaders. Say you win El Clasico on Saturday. There's no way you screw that up. Like, yeah, he's gonna get minutes here and there. Maybe he'll play like Copa del Rey or Champions League or something like that. But like for La Liga, I would not miss one.
Yeah. Or if Koundé starts having a couple stinkers in a row, then you have the conversation again. But
Awesome. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting.
Which I don't see happening, but
I don't either.
He's in great form.
I mean, he's behind Mingueza for team of the season, but I agree. I don't see Koundé.
Stop. We're not.
It is interesting that we're all forecasting goals here. I mean, I'm going like 2-1, 3-2. Jose, you got 3-2, 2-2, and Andre, you got 2-1 Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, how stunning would it be if Barcelona kept a clean sheet in this match?
Huge,
massive, especially because of the goalkeeping position, which you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just like we haven't done it outside of Valladolid 7-0 and like that weird game against Getafe. Like, we haven't done it. Like we play such a high line, everybody gets a shot at scoring.
That's what I'm saying.
So if we keep a clean sheet, bro, I mean, Madrid fans need to be asking a whole lot about that front line, just because that's
fair.
Minimum. Like, if you score goals and lose the game, that's one thing. If you get shut out at your own stadium against your biggest rival,
for sure,
and then go on to lose the game, that's that's.
On the flip side, though, say Madrid win 2-0. How do culés react to that, Jose? How would that affect the Barca camp moving forward? Is it like oh shit, are we on fraud watch, or is it like we need to change things?
No. I think it's almost like a humbling moment in a good way, which these kids need at times, right? It happened against Osasuna.
Yeah.
Who saw 4 goals against fucking Osasuna coming, right?
Agreed.
Now, even for Hansi Flick, getting humbled in a new league he's never coached in, he rotated so hard against Osasuna, he realized how difficult this league is. I think against Madrid, if everything goes right for us pregame, we start the exact strong 11 that we need, we dominate the game and still lose 2-0. then I think it's going to be a massive learning moment. I don't think anything shifts in terms of like the narrative around Barcelona, because it is our biggest rivals, and frankly, it's one of the most insane teams on paper in our biggest rivals. So, it will still be top of La Liga regardless of the result, and then from there, it's just watching both of these teams week over week to see who can edge out the other. But I don't know if I'm panicking just yet.
I'll throw one last question for you out there. If you lose to Bayern and then you lose to Madrid, so if you lose both games this week, does that change anything at all? Or is it like, well, we finally played against fucking European giants? Like,
I think it changes some of the narrative maybe around like the dominance of, I think it has macro effect, meaning I think fans look at La Liga differently, right? Because you have easily the most dominant team in La Liga.
Yep.
If we lose two European giants in back-to-back games in a week, then you start asking questions about the strength of the league in comparison to others. I think it has a macro effect. I think, I'll be honest, I don't even know if Barcelona is that talked about now with all the results that we have as being the most dominant team. I still think we're kind of a little bit underrated, under the radar, just because other leagues have more PR, plain and simple.
And you haven't done it in Europe in a while. I do think
exactly. Yeah. And like beating Young Boys, beating whoever that were played so far. Like it doesn't stick out as like, oh, La Liga's back, right? Yeah. So it still feels like Madrid's league. So like I don't know. Like I don't think the whole world would become crumbling down for Barcelona fans. I think some of us would probably melt down. But it's still a long season. There's still a season left to play. As long as we don't get knocked out of title contention or knocked out of Champions League knockout stages too early, I think we're fine. But it will be a very humbling moment.
Yeah, and I don't think you can use the UCL as La Liga's back when Real Madrid's losing to Lille and we're losing to Benfica 4-0. So I do think it would be more of a macro thing about La Liga. But I mean, I'm fascinated to see how this game turns out between Real Madrid and Barcelona. Of course, I won't be watching. I'll be watching Atleti play Betis away. So hopefully we win that game.
That's a tough matchup.
Dude, I mean, we're probably going to drop points. Like, I swear to God. Like, it's...
All right, you heard it here first.
Lo Celso's going to come back. We're going to drop points, bro. I mean,
bro.
At very least, we're going to concede first. But, guys, for the sake of time, we are going to end the episode there. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Lengua de la Liga, and we will be back to talk about El Clasico. Somebody might be crying. Somebody might be popping champagne. You're just going to have to hit subscribe and tune in next week to find out. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.